Hi, this is George.
Hi.
George is my partner.
Tenant.
Fuck off. I was going to make that joke and I didn't because I didn't think you'd find it funny. But no, okay. Partner and tenant. And we have just come back from town, been through Clifton to do a book swap. So the point of the book swap was to buy 2 books for the other person that they would actually like. Did I actually say that before we started?
I think that was a given.
Yeah, it wasn't like they're not supposed to be joke books. They're supposed to be actually seeing if we can buy books that we thought the other person would like. But with the caveat that our reading tastes differ quite a lot. Because I read 120 books last year and you read 2? 1?
Maybe 1.5.
1.5? Yeah, something like that. So I don't know how long this vlog is going to take to finish, but we started it in January, so good head start. Do you want to go first? Because you seem quite pleased with that book.
I'm going to do the one I'm not so pleased with, because there's 2 in here.
Okay, cool.
They're small, which I thought.
Interesting.
They both ended up being quite small.
Okay.
And I don't know whether it's because you always moan, like, oh, I've got 300 pages left of this book, and I'm
not moaning, I'm stating a fact.
Yeah, but sometimes you're like, I can't believe I've got this many pages left. So
okay, yeah, no, fair.
I didn't do it consciously. It was just they were the ones that piqued my interest.
Okay.
First one.
I don't recognise it.
No. Well, I did check your list.
Yeah, I also let George log into my Storygraph so that he could check whether or not I'd read it.
The Dark Between the Trees by Fiona Barnett.
So 1643, a small group of parliamentarian soldiers are ambushed in an isolated part of northern England. Their only hope for survival is to flee into the nearby Moresby Wood, unwise though that may seem, for Moresby Wood is known to be an unnatural place, the one with witchcraft and shadows where the devil is said to go walking by moonlight. 17 men enter the wood, only 2 are ever seen again, and the stories they tell of what happened make no sense. Stories of shifting landscapes, of trees that appear and disappear at will, and of something else, something dark, something hungry. Today, 5 women are headed into Moresby Wood to discover once and for all what happened to that unfortunate group of soldiers. They're led by Dr. Alice Christopher, a historian who has devoted her entire academic career to uncovering the secrets of Moresby Wood. Armed with metal detectors, GPS units, mobile phones, and the most recent map of the area, which is nearly 50 years old, Dr. Christopher's group enters the wood ready for anything, or so they think. I would have picked this up myself. This is good.
It was, because I know you're a big fantasy, but I didn't want to just go fantasy books because it was hard. Yeah. Because I was looking, especially in the actual, not second-hand bookshops. Yeah. I was like, alright, that's on the bookshelf, that's on the bookshelf, that's on the bookshelf. You had that for Christmas. And I couldn't, and I just couldn't.
I own all of those.
Yeah, and I was just looking, and some of the ones, and the ones that you didn't have, just looked poor.
Okay, yeah.
But this one wasn't super fantasy, it's a bit historical. It's a bit. I did do a little bit of research behind the books before I bought them.
Okay.
So the tag fairy tale was used.
Okay.
So I think that was kind of what tied it in. But I thought it was slightly different to what you usually go for. So that's why I picked that one.
Okay. So initial thoughts.
Yeah.
1643. To me, normally that means witch trials and things like that, which I don't always get on with.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mention witch trials.
Yes, I looked at witches. I looked at books that mention witches.
Yeah.
But they weren't quite what I expected them to be, so I didn't go with them.
But I like the fact that it's a creepy wood with potential consciousness implied kind of thing. That I like the idea of. And I do like that it's women in the present day investigating the wood. Yeah. That appeals to me much, much more. Because it's like a mystery, and I really enjoy mysteries. I
also tried to go more towards female authors, because I know that you tend to get on with them better.
I get on with female authors so much better. Awesome, that is a very good start.
And it's not massively long.
It's not, that's not going to take me very long to leave. It's true. I'm going to start with the one that is cheating slightly, because we agreed that... I'm just going to give it to you, and you decide if it's cheating.
Cheating?
A little bit. Hang on.
Is it a cookbook?
It's not a cookbook.
Because we decided cookbooks were
because we said that fiction and non-fiction was fine.
Yeah.
But, so it's non-fiction.
Yeah, because I looked at some autobiographies. And I think
this could be a book that you do just sit down and read.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people wouldn't just sit down and read it, they'd flick through it.
Is it something 5th edition?
It's not. It's that.
Okay. This is from the Four Pine Bookshop.
It is, yeah.
Why didn't I not see this?
I don't know.
Well, I didn't really look at the...
So it's all about the art of metal albums.
I've seen this before.
And I thought that was right up your street because you like metal.
And I get the feeling I didn't buy it because, like, when it first came out, it was horrendously expensive.
Well, it was £4, so...
Yeah, because it was like 30 quid, and I was like, that's really cool.
But it's a pretty book as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's amazing.
There are a lot of words in it, but there are also a lot of pictures. So yeah, I'm not expecting you to read the whole book, so just to be clear.
Some bands that I don't really care about necessarily. But
yeah.
I'd say it's slightly cheating.
Yeah, that was why I definitely wanted to get a second one, because I wouldn't expect you to read the whole book. What I would expect is for you to find the bands that you know and like read those bits.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I wouldn't expect you to sit down and read the whole thing. So
yeah, that's really cool.
That was my first one.
And it's one that will actually definitely get used. It's not like you've got something and you're like, oh god, what if he doesn't like it? And it's just a wasted purchase. But that's really cool.
Yeah, once we've done all the books, I'll tell you what my initial plans were going in, because I veered completely off them.
Well, I can see there's a stack here that you've bought for yourself.
I bought a lot of books for myself as well, and I'll go, yeah, that's fine. Can I have my second book, please?
Oh yes, my turn. This one, I thought, this one has a really weird thought process behind it.
Right.
Because I saw it, thought it looked cool, so I got, check your list, and I googled it.
That looks creepy as shit.
So I googled it, and it was obviously by this lady.
Livia Llewellyn, the one that comes before.
And because in her brief bio, there was like just a description about her.
So creepy.
And I found her quite... The thing's similar to you.
Okay.
So she's from Alaska and she moved around quite a bit.
Okay.
So I thought she didn't go to different countries necessarily. She stayed in America, but that's parallels to you because you did move quite a lot.
Yeah, but I moved around a lot in England. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in England.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of... She's like a secretary, and she was describing her job, and it's a lot of things that you do, like timetables in your normal job, and she just writes in her spare time.
Cool.
So she's like, it goes on about how she's not a full-time author. And I also thought you don't really do masses of sci-fi, so I thought I'd chuck something in there that might be a bit different.
Yeah. This looks like horror sci-fi, and it's a novella as well. Ooh, good big font.
And I think it must have been a limited print run and still semi-sought after because it was quite expensive for a second-hand book.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah. So
2017 Independent Legions. Yes, it's an indie publisher.
Yeah,
$8.90. There's two prices in here. That's confusing.
That was the one I paid.
Okay, fair enough. I went up quite a lot from the last
well,
price.
I think they used this.
No, that explains when it went on the shelf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. You looked at that to tell me the price, so I was like,
weird.
You're better than me, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm intrigued. Also, I've never heard of it, so that's a good thing.
And I thought you wouldn't have done. But when I saw that description, it was just one of those ones that they face because it's obviously the more expensive one and they want people to buy it.
And also the art is really fucking creepy, which I enjoy.
And I spotted it, and obviously, cool.
Yeah.
Female author.
I'm impressed with that. Two books I've never heard of and would actually read.
I'm impressed that I did alright as well.
Okay, the next book that I got you is a real book.
Yep.
I cannot remember if we've talked about you reading from this author before.
I think I got a glimpse of it, and I haven't.
I got you Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett.
Okay, cool.
Because it's the vampire book.
Okay.
And I know you like vampires.
I do like vampires, yeah.
And Terry Pratchett is very good. And you don't need to read Terry Pratchett in order.
My English teacher always said that you should read Pratchett. And the closest I got is I think I've got it on the shelf back there. I hear he's kind of like Pratchett was Robert Rankin.
Possibly, yeah. I got you.
I've never read any Pratchett, even, yeah.
I can't remember if I've read Carpe Jugulum, so I might want to read it after you. But it is the witches as well, which are the most palatable aspect of Terry Pratchett as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's witches and vampires, and it might take you a while to read.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it will be funny, because he's usually pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. It's I should have read Pratchett years ago, like when I was told to.
I mean, I've read quite a lot of Pratchett, and I got rid of a lot of my Pratchett as well when you moved in. That was some of the stuff I got rid of because I wasn't convinced I was going to read it again or finish reading the series. But now I think I'd quite like to collect all of the old covers because I picked up two others that they had.
I did wonder why there was more because I could tell that they were...
Yeah, that one specifically I picked up for you because it had vampires. These ones I picked up because I haven't read them, so I also picked up Pyramids and Feet of Clay because I've not read them.
Yeah.
And I got The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden for me, and and 2 more. But these are all second hand, so I didn't pay full price.
Okay.
I got The Lost Bark Scrolls, which is an Edge Chronicles anthology. I've only read 2 of the stories in here.
Yeah.
And I got Clash of the Sky Galleons because these are both really nice copies. And they were quite cheap, given that they're nice hardbacks with only a bit of foxing on top. And I used to fucking love the Edge Chronicles.
One thing that came up a couple of times, I don't think it was on your thing.
Yeah.
But I nearly bought in 2 separate shops. Something Beasts of Eld?
I have.
Patricia,
yeah.
No, you have read it.
I own it, and I DNF'd it.
Okay, so it's a good job I didn't get that.
Yeah, because that. Did you see it in the last bookshop?
I saw it in the last bookshop, and it was in
Stanford's.
Stanford's.
Okay, because I picked up my copy in last bookshop. I still have it, I just didn't finish it.
I thought I recognised it, and I checked, and it wasn't... I don't think it came up on your list, but something about it I didn't...
It rang bells.
Yeah, I just didn't get it.
Cool.
Was it? There might have been some others. No, not really. I saw like a lot of stuff that I knew you had,
Yeah.
but I couldn't... Like your Legends and Lattes and Boners and Bookshops or whatever.
Yeah, Bookshops and Bone Dust. Awesome, okay.
Amazing.
That one's not cheating though, so I did actually buy you a real book.
You did buy a real book that I probably should have read many years ago. So.
What I was going to go for was, if it was just going to be one book, I was going to get you a manga compilation.
Okay.
Because that's quicker for you to read, and also you were watching a lot of One Piece, and I was either going to get you One Piece or I was going to get you Full Metal Alchemist or Bleach, because I have read the beginnings of both those series and I think they're quite good.
Yeah, they're like the classics.
Yeah, and also Full Metal's quite funny.
And
which,
One Piece
like
is the only manga I've ever read anyway. Never touched any of this one. Yeah.
And then I was looking for any of the Ice Planet Barbarians books. Have you ever heard of the Ice Planet Barbarian?
No.
No. It's erotica, basically, about this woman who's enslaved by Ice Planet Barbarians.
Cool.
Like frost giants on a different planet.
Amazing.
It had its, 50 Shades heyday a while back.
There was another one which had a title which was like, that is 100% like fantasy. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got there's no chance this is anything but like high fantasy.
Yeah.
It was like... I have to check my search history because I did Google it.
Yeah.
Because I Googled a lot of books while we were on our adventures. Tirza and the Prince of Crows.
Never heard of it.
And you think that's going to be
that
pretty...
sounds fantasy, yeah.
It's like 70s Wales coming-of-age love story with a hint of mythology.
Okay.
And it just didn't... I just didn't think it rang you, just like 70s Welsh values.
Doesn't jump out at me, no.
And the cover was that cover.
The cover's
green
really
one,
cool.
Beautiful, but I was like, this is just wrong. Because one of my goals was actually to get a bowl of mac and cheese book for you that you hadn't heard of.
Just for clarification, a bowl of mac and cheese, you are referencing A Court of Thorns and Roses title layout.
Yeah. So... none of them quite got there, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the ones I saw were like, no, this is just, or it was like, oh, this looks cool on the spine, and then it's just YA, and I had to go straight back. Like, if some of them was so obvious, some of them I had to have a little Google.
I nearly bought you Percy Jackson, but thought that would have been a little bit kiddie.
I have no desire to, because I know about it, but I had no desire.
Because I think you'd enjoy it, but I am also thinking about that, having read that as a teenager. So I don't know. I didn't know if that was going to pass off, so I didn't.
Don't think that would have been my thing, so that was good.
But I got those for me, and I'm happy with that. Do you want to go first, given that you have props?
Do you want to go first? Well, apparently I don't need props, because you just put them up on screen.
I can put them up on screen, but you took the time to go and find the book.
Only just to jog my memory.
And you didn't actually read that book, though, did you? You listened to it.
I read that much.
Proud of you, yeah.
And you've always told me that audiobooks do count.
Yeah.
Because it's inclusive.
Yeah, so. I'm not saying you didn't read the book. I'm saying you didn't read that book.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, Kirby Duggan. Never read a Pratchett book before.
No.
I didn't go on with the start with it. It was all a bit too whimsical and British, which I think...
is the point of Pratchett.
But once I kind of got over that, it was enjoyable. I grew to like The Witches were great, or some of them at least.
Which one didn't you like?
I don't know.
There is one right answer to this.
I don't really know who I didn't like. Was it Probably the young one was my least favourite.
That is the correct answer. Magrat is the most annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, Margaret, yeah. Yeah, but Mightily Oates was quite good in the end.
Who is that?
He's an Omnian priest.
What is that?
He's a priest of Om.
Oh, okay,
And
that kind of...
I think he crops up, from what I've read, he crops up in like a couple of others.
Okay.
But he kind of just travels around spreading the word of Om, and he gets roped into the whole vampire thing.
What is the plot of that one? Because I know it's witches, but it's a witches book I've not read.
So they're in Lancre.
Okay.
So it's all like, Lancre's fairly simple, nothing really kind of works as you'd expect it to. It's a very small country.
Okay.
They're all like really basic, and like government is, oh, that's our John's son and he's the border guard and the janitor.
I know,
And,
I have
yeah.
read about Lancre before, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, obviously vampires being vampires, they can have influence over weaker minds.
Okay.
So they decide, we want Lancre, we're going to go to Lancre, take it over, and then it's all about what happens.
The witches live there.
Yeah, the witches live there, but it's not necessarily like, oh no, the witches are just completely immune to it. There are elements of, oh shit, I know we're witches, but we might not actually be able to deal with this, because only one of us is actually completely immune to the...
Who's immune? I feel like it might be Og that's immune.
It's...
No,
it's not Nanny Og.
It'd be Weatherwax.
Yes, because she has
the grumpier one who isn't the one with a million husbands.
Because she has two minds, basically. She's
I missed that bit.
It's almost like she's bipolar. She's got like a more mischievous, a slightly more evil voice inside her head that always crops up.
Oh, okay.
And that is why they don't have power, because she's not single-minded.
Okay.
So it's probably a little bit, bipolar a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
And then also I think Mightily Oates, for whatever, I can't remember the reason they give, but for whatever reason, is immune. I mean, he's pretty useless, but he's immune. But
cool.
Yeah. So that was... I'd enjoy it by the end. No, I think it ended kind of a bit, I want to say abruptly, but I don't think it did. I think I was just listening to it at the wrong point, and I kind of, oh cool, this is the big finale. Yeah, no, it was
fine.
It was fun in the end. Yeah, I probably would read another one.
Okay.
But I'd probably like to keep it.
I wasn't expecting that response. I thought that would be you done with Pratchett, given...
No, because it warmed me a lot more than I thought it would by the end of it.
Okay.
And I think there probably will be some books where I think, no, that's too...
I mean, there are, even for me, there are some Pratchett books where they're just, I fucking hate Moving Pictures. I hated because it's all about Hollywood and I don't give a toss. Okay, star rating out of 5, decimals allowed.
I'll give it like 3.5, something like that.
Okay.
Because I think...
So above average.
I'm not a big reader. Like, in the last year, it's probably the only book I've read. But it was enough that I kept wanting to listen to it. I just don't think... It was harder for me to physically read. I think I just didn't get on with
the covers on those editions are great. The actual text and the font, not so much.
I don't know. It's quite big. I don't mind it, but I think it's just his style is easier for me to listen to than read.
Yes.
Because, I would much rather... if I had to pick 2 books to read, the Brandon Sanderson one, I'm kind of part of the way through. I would rather read that, which is kind of strange when it should... theoretically feel like it should be hard to read, but I don't think it is. It's just...
I think I had that with the book I just finished last night.
I find myself getting a little bit... Again, I'm not an experienced reader. I found myself getting lost and forgetting, not necessarily who people were, but it wasn't always obvious that was who was speaking, and then I was like, I've got 3 witches that are basically sounding the same, and I'm just trying to figure them out. But no, they were fun.
Cool. So relative success. Shall we start with the one that I've already solved?
Yeah.
For mine. So The Dark Between the Trees was the one about the haunted forest. So it's dual timeline.
Yes.
You have the original story with these soldiers going into the forest and getting lost, and I presume picked off one by the monster. I didn't get that far in. But you then also have the current timeline where you have these, I want to say archaeologists, scientists, researchers. It's a group of women basically who go in.
I think it's a bit of a mix of everything from what I understood. Yeah.
A group of women who go in following, they've got old maps, they've got stories, they've done their research, they're doing a deliberate, we're going to try and work out where these people disappeared to in this legend.
Yeah.
The reason it got boring, I couldn't really tell any of the characters apart. All the women were a lot of them could have been clones of each other.
Yeah.
Like there were two of them who always mentioned together, and so I couldn't really differentiate between the two of them. And they weren't very interesting. There was conflict in the group, which is it drove the story along. But the way that the chapters were done is you got a chapter of the women, a chapter of the soldiers, and then you'd have a chapter of the women doing exactly what the soldiers had done in the last chapter, and then you'd have the soldiers again, and then you'd have a chapter of the women doing exactly what happened to the soldiers.
It's like could be a cool premise, but it also sounds like it could get a bit.
It was so boring to read
yeah.
because I knew what was going to happen. I knew where they were going to get. Like, oh, in this chapter they're going to reach the big old tree, and in this chapter the big old tree is going to disappear, and this one someone's going to get injured. Like, I knew what was going to happen because it had already happened to the soldiers.
Yeah.
And I read, I want to say 50 pages. It's not a long book, but I was just really bored. Yeah. I was just really bored, and because it seemed to me like it was just going to be, there is something haunting this woods. It doesn't like you lot being in its woods, so it's going to pick you off one by one and hunt you down. I didn't feel like I needed to read the end of the book because I feel like I could have said what was going to happen.
Yeah.
One or two of them were going to get out alive. They probably weren't going to be able to tell their story afterwards, and we're going to live with the trauma. Like, that's it. That's how those stories go.
Did you look to see how it ended?
Oh no, I never looked to see how it ended.
Okay.
I might now, but yeah, it wasn't. The idea was cool, the cover was cool, but it wasn't my thing. So I sold it, like I do with all my DNFs. Do you want to go with your cop-out one?
Yeah, my cop-out one. My coffee table book.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, looking at it, it's
a coffee table book.
It's a list of themes and then some album covers that go with it. I haven't like read every single page, but some of them have a cool little bit of history. Like, this is one of the first ones that talks about, well, Black Sabbath seemed to get mentioned heavily being, you know,
the big ones,
possibly the start of heavy metal, depending on what we look at. Yeah, you get a cool little bit of history. This one's Malleus Maleficarum, so all about witches and stuff. Yeah, there's some cool artwork. But some of them just feel like we could only afford to get these images from lesser known bands, and we're going to mention all these really cool album covers that you'll have to just know or imagine, and it was kind of, that's great. I'm so glad that I have to go and do homework for this book. But I suppose it was a budget issue, like they couldn't have every single great, and like there's some things that just feel out of place. I think the very first thing is actually gore, and I just thought there's a mention of Cannibal Corpse, but they didn't get any of like the classic album covers that I'd associate with gore.
Yeah.
And then there's a section for Steel, which I'd have said Man-O-War, and Man-O-War get mentioned in like some other thing, which is still relevant. And the same with Leather. Judas Priest get mentioned, perfect. There might even be a Judas Priest cover.
Yeah.
But then Man-O-War, also Leather, don't get mentioned, and I don't know why it's like the two bands I can think of because I'm not a massive fan of them. And there was another one which was like Fractals was the theme of the artwork, and they didn't mention Tool, which I think was a big thing because most of it was inlay art, so that's probably why I wasn't necessarily. They might not have chosen it, but I just thought that's what I associated in my mind. But there's lots of cool sounding bands that I am making a mental note to go and check out. Like, there's like a little section on Lovecraft and Cthulhu and things like that. Like, these bands sound really cool just because the album art is all
tentacles.
Just like really sick. It's cool to just read, and I think I will, because they have put some slightly more known bands in it. I think it is kind of a good way to find new music, because you can kind of get an idea of the vibe. Wouldn't have paid the RRP of 30 quid for it.
No. But for £4?
£4.
Not
I don't
bad.
think that's bad at all. Yep.
I read this a while ago. The one that comes before. Okay,
Yeah.
I was close. So the one that comes before is a horror novella, very much Lovecraftian. It is horrifically gory. There's tentacles everywhere. It's apocalyptic. It's very dark, very weird, and set in like a dystopian future kind of situation. None of which is something I normally enjoy.
No, because the reasons I chose it for you were none of those. I just thought, because I think the previous one was she's got more chance of liking this, because it just felt a bit more right for you.
Yeah.
And this one was I think I kind of bought it because it was expensive, and it kind of intrigued me.
Yeah.
Because it was more expensive, and then I thought, like I think I've gone into this previous, I just read descriptions of the author and things and thought, you know, something different. I'll do a different one and you can go for it. Yeah.
And then ironically that was the one that I enjoyed
more
than the than the witchy one, the Monster in the Wood one. So I can't really pinpoint why I enjoyed it more. I think because it was quite actiony. It was a novella, it was short. I read it in a sitting, 2 sittings, something like that.
And you didn't spend very long on it.
No, it's not that long.
I think it was 2. Yeah.
But there's mystery from the start. There's like, it's understandable dystopia, so I didn't have to think really hard about what was going on.
Try and piece together why the world fell apart.
No, it was just, this is the state of the world at the moment. This is how she's moving through it. It's like, okay, we'll just move on with that. There were a couple of characters introduced that didn't seem to go anywhere. I'm not really sure why they were introduced in the first place. But it was okay. I'm not sure how much I would have changed. It has been like a month and a half since I read it. No, I did enjoy it. I think I do like horror sometimes. I wasn't expecting Lovecraftian horror to this scale. Also a little bit of like the sci-fi element. If I had known that going in, I wouldn't have picked it up, but I didn't hate it when I read it.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a 4-star book, which is pretty good. And I'm not getting rid of it. I quite like that.
Yeah.
And it's got cool cover art. So, yeah. I think overall, sort of slightly above average success. Lovely.
Yeah.
Would you do this project again?
I think I would, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd do 2 books. I think I'd probably just do 1.
It was like a trial run, wasn't it? And we kind of had to, we were kind of hedging we didn't want to put all our eggs in one basket and then it'd just be a complete flop.
I
still don't think 2's, but I wouldn't go any more, definitely not.
I wouldn't go any more. I think I would just do 1. I don't think we needed 2.
Yeah.
I think if one's a flop, then one's a flop.
Yeah, but as a first-time experiment, I think having 2 did help, because at least we got books finished. Yeah. I mean, technically I didn't finish 1 because I've just picked up and...
I think, stick to novels or novellas as well. That's it. That's the video.